What's up everyone, this is Wasim from the Tech Boys, and I have a battle between the Apple iPhone 5 and the Samsung Galaxy Note 2. So we have two very different devices. I'm going to go ahead and compare a few of the features, the design, and the performance of both devices. So first, let's start off with the design and hardware. We're going to start with the iPhone 5 first. So here we have the iPhone 5, it's a 4-inch Retina display with a resolution of 1136 by 640, bringing pixels per inch at 326. It has a black glass and aluminum construction, so it keeps it very thin and light in the hand. And overall, it's a very beautiful construction by Apple. The iPhone 5 has a dual-core A6 chip clocked at 1.3 gigahertz. It has a 1 gigabyte of RAM. The phone does come in 16, 32, and 64 gigabyte variants for $199, $299, and $399. Again, the phone can be picked up globally. In the States, you can get it from AT&T, Sprint, and Verizon with 4G LTE compatibility. And we have the ginormous Samsung Galaxy Note. It's a 5.5-inch HD Super AMOLED display with a resolution of 720 by 1280 pixels, bringing pixels per inch at 265. The Galaxy Note has a 1.9 megapixel front-facing camera. You will find a physical home, menu, and back button. On the back is an 8 megapixel camera capable of shooting 1080p video. And while the phone is big, it's not that thick. It's at 9.4 millimeters thin. Of course, you do have a unique feature with the Galaxy Note with the S Pen. And keep in mind, the Galaxy Note is a huge phone. When you compare it with the iPhone 5 will actually fit within the display of the Galaxy Note. So definitely check out the phone in the stores when they come out. The iPhone 5 is very easy to maneuver with one hand. With the Galaxy Note, it's a little bit harder, so you won't be able to reach those far corners. So it's more of a two-hand experience. It's definitely possible to use the Galaxy Note 2 with one hand. Now, I will be giving the design round to the iPhone 5. It's just a much better looking phone. It uses premium materials like metal, aluminum, and glass. The Galaxy Note is a full plastic construction. And it's honestly not as good looking as the iPhone 5. Now let's talk about software. The iPhone's running iOS 6.0 with the Galaxy Note 2 is Android 4.1 Jelly Bean with Samsung's TouchWiz user interface. So I'll briefly go through some of the features of both operating systems. iOS is extremely easy to use. It's clean, simple. It's basically a grid of applications. Of course, Apple has added a few more features. You do have notification tray, which works really well. Of course, your multitasking menu, as well as your quick toggles at the bottom. There is also Passbook integration, which is a really great feature. The amazing App Store, and overall it just works well. Easy to find applications. There are a few criticisms with Apple's new in-house mapping. It is getting better by the day because Apple is fixing a lot of the misplaced pins and labels, so it will be getting better. It's still not up to par with Google Maps, but there are really cool features with iOS Maps with their 3D. So if I go over the city of San Francisco, I jump into satellite and I turn on 3D, you get a full 3D model of the city, which is very cool to play with, look around, and it's very fast. There is no lag using the mapping system, and the turn-by-turn directions work really well. One thing with the iPhone 5 is because it's such a new device, there are some apps that don't use the full screen real estate. So if I jump into, let's say, Angry Birds, you can see it doesn't fill the full 4-inch display of the iPhone 5. But of course, apps will be compatible. Like apps like Flipboard have been updated to take the full screen real estate. So it's just going to take time for developers to make these apps fit. Now let's talk about Android. So Android is highly customizable. You don't have just your grid of icons like the iPhone 5. Here I can have live widgets, my Google search bar, everything, and it's extremely easy to add more things. If I go to my apps, these are all the applications built in. If I go to widgets, I can see all the widgets that come on the device. And of course, if I would like to put them, I can easily drag it onto my home screen. And most of them are very customizable, so you can make them bigger, you can make them smaller, and just customize it the way you want them to. And of course, the notification tray gives you a lot of more useful things than iOS, like your quick toggles for Wi-Fi, GPS, Bluetooth, the brightness control, so it's right in the notification center, and of course, your notifications. So Android is very fun to use, really easy to customize, and overall it just gives you a lot more features than iOS does. And of course, with Android 4.1, you have a ton of more features like Android Beam, S Beam that is by Samsung, and of course the Galaxy Note has a ton of features like Smart Stay, Smart Alert, as well as the S Pen. And let me show you guys a few of the things the S Pen can do. Of course, right when I pull out the S Pen, I can write notes. It will warn me if I leave my pen somewhere else, which is a great feature. And of course, I can, jump into the note and I can create something. So if you feel like this will be a good feature for you, it's definitely something that can be very useful. And the S Pen, you can easily create notes right from your home screen. Just press on the button, double tap your screen, and you can start writing your notes, which is a very cool pop-up window of creating a pen. There is also a hovering effect, so if I hover over a menu, it will do that for me as well. So the S Pen is a very cool feature. You can also crop out certain parts of the screen, so by pressing and just circling an area of the screen, you will be able to crop that certain image out, which is a nice feature. Now, of course, if you want more information of the Galaxy Note, I have my full review that will be posted up. So as far as software, I'm going to have to give this to Android. The reason why is that it's just as smooth as iOS. It gives you a lot more features as far as customization, and it gives the users a lot more to use. Again, some people might still prefer iOS because it's easier to use and very simple. But this run, I'm going to give it to the Note just because of the feature that it offers over the iPhone. Now let's jump into the web browser and compare the speeds. I'm going to jump them both on the same Wi-Fi network just to make sure it's fair. And of course, both history has been cleared for both devices, so it should be a pretty even comparison. Alright, so I have Phone Arena queued up on both phones. I'm going to press go at the same time to see which phone loads up the page faster. Alright, the iPhone 5 is done and the Galaxy Note is loading up. Still going, and the Galaxy Note is now finished. So again, just comparing the web browser, you definitely see more of your content on the Galaxy Note. As far as pinch to zoom, they're both pretty much on par. You're not going to see anything more. Alright, now let's go into this article and see which phone loads up again. And they're both off. And the iPhone 5 is finished and it beats out the Note, and the Note is right behind it. And let's try going into another website. Let's go to cnn.com. And we're going to press go at the same time. And the iPhone 5 is finished, followed by the Note. It was about the same, and we're going to go ahead and go to the full desktop site. And they're off. iPhone 5 is finished, and the Galaxy Note follows. So really, they're very much on par as far as web browsing. iPhone 5 is slightly faster within milliseconds, but you're really going to enjoy the web browsers on both phones. They both offer very similar features like adding it to your reading list, saving it for desktop view, printing the page, so very similar performance. It's just going to depend on what you like. Alright, I'm going to run a benchmark showing you guys which phone is actually more powerful. So I have Geekbench. I'm going to run on both phones. So just to show you guys the system information, the Galaxy Note has a 1.6 gigahertz quad-core processor with 2 gigs of RAM, but this shows 1.75. The iPhone 5 has an Apple A6 chip at 1.3 gigahertz with 1 gigabyte of RAM. So I'm going to go ahead and run the benchmark for both phones, and let's look at the score. But honestly, this really doesn't show you what phone is faster. They're both very capable because they have very fast processors, and Apple and Samsung knows how to utilize the software to work with the hardware. So they're both going. The iPhone 5 has a score of 1644. The Galaxy Note 2 has a 1936. So it does score higher than the iPhone 5. The integer score is 1609. iPhone is 1255. And of course, I'll just zoom in so you guys can see the rest of the scores. Alright, now we're going to talk about the cameras of both phones. They both have 8 megapixel cameras. In my testing, the iPhone 5 does take slightly better pictures, but you do get way more features on the Galaxy Note's camera. So iPhone camera is very simple. Take pictures. Of course, your options is a grid, HDR, and panorama, as well as controlling your flash. That's about it. But the pictures do come out very nice on the iPhone 5. Very nice colors. The Galaxy Note, you have features. Of course, you can tap to zoom, take your picture. There's also burst shot, so press and hold. Of course, you can take pictures very easily, and a ton of more pictures like self-portrait, your shooting mode, as well as a ton of effects that you can do with the Galaxy Note. So if you like to play around with your camera settings and manual controls, then you might prefer the camera on the Galaxy Note 2. But if you just want something that works without having to tweak any settings, then the iPhone 5 is going to work perfectly for you. And of course, for email, they're both very similar. I actually prefer the iPhone's email client. The Samsung email client I don't feel like it's good. Sometimes it doesn't refresh as fast, or it doesn't push the information. So it's just the integration with the email client on iOS, and some of their other applications just work better than the Galaxy Note. But let's talk about call quality. They're both very similar as far as call quality. Speaker is about the same. For battery life, I'm going to give it to the Galaxy Note 2. It has amazing battery life. I can probably go 2 days with the Galaxy Note 2. On the iPhone, I could probably get through a whole day. And that's with moderate use on both phones. So definitely much better battery life on the Galaxy Note 2. Alright guys, this has been my comparison of the iPhone 5 and the Galaxy Note 2. If you're okay with the size, I'm going to give the winner to the Galaxy Note 2, just because it gives you a ton of more options as far as features. The Android operating system is great. The battery life is fantastic. If you don't like the size of the Note 2, then the iPhone 5 is going to be a better choice for you. Alright guys, thank you for watching this comparison, and we'll see you in the next video. Thanks.